Success is not a solo act. If there's one thing I've learned on my way to over $5 billion in global sales, it's this: growth requires a team. You can't do it alone. No one can. After you've learned how to share your idea, product, or service with the world, you're going to start enjoying some success. It might be tempting to think you can just keep doing what you're doing and your success will continue to grow. But it doesn't work that way. What got you here won't keep you here, and it won't empower you to get to the next level. To experience 100x success, or even 10x success, you need to challenge your current way of thinking. When you decide to grow or even launch a company, you have to be prepared to do things differently than what's been done in the past. I've heard it said that if you always do what you've always done, you'll only get what you already had. When you repeat habits from the past, you get the results you achieved in the past. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you have to study and implement new extraordinary methods like building a team. Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder, put it this way: no matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team. Let's face it, there's only so much of you to go around, and you're not an expert in everything. That's why you need a team you can trust to take your sales success to the next level. Now, some of you may choose to stay put as a solo act. That's fine if that's what you really want. The truth is that everyone who sells anything needs a support team, no matter how great his or her ambitions may be. One thing I know for sure: if you're ever going to realize your greatest dreams, you'll need a team you can trust. Online marketing guru Jeff Walker says that one of his biggest business mistakes was not building a team earlier in his growth process. I just don't want you to hold back because you're uncertain about building a team or fearful of what might go wrong. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to do this. I want to empower you to boldly pursue your dreams. It's what I've done for entrepreneurs for decades. And let's face it, everyone who sells anything has at least a little bit of entrepreneur inside. That's why you'll need the secrets in this Vault 7, the Dream Team. I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs over the years. I'm a co-founding board member of the Entrepreneurs Organization. As part of my passion for empowering entrepreneurs to greatness, I once created a one-stop small business center to help entrepreneurs build teams without spending a fortune in payroll. I still do a lot of this sort of consulting today. It's never been easier to build a dream team by harnessing the power of virtual workspaces and the gig economy. I'll share some of the secrets and stories from my own experience in this vault so you can grow faster and avoid making the most common mistakes. Every entrepreneur needs to be a salesperson, but not every salesperson is necessarily an entrepreneur or has all the business savvy and skills necessary to grow to the next level. That's why they need to team with those who do. You may need to team within your own corporate world. You may need to team with friends or even family members to push your success to the next level. Or you may need to seek some investment to get the capital you need to take your proven idea, product, or service to the next level. And every investor will want to know more about your dream team. If you don't have one, you need to figure out how to assemble one. So, the bottom line: we all need a team because success is not a solo act. Teamwork begins with a mindset shift. You have to stop thinking like a solo act and start thinking like a team leader. If it seems like every vault begins with a focus on mindset, you're right, because the success battle is won or lost between your ears, and don't ever forget that. And here's Zig Ziglar with a reminder that we all do better when our team does better.
The professional salesperson, the real professional, is wise in that he knows that his own sales and his own career is going to move along much faster if his fellow salespeople are doing well and if his company is doing well. In short, he becomes what we call a team player. I was intrigued with the fact that back in 1986, the national championship in football was won by Penn State when they played the University of Miami. And now they had a Heisman Trophy winner on that particular team, a fellow whose name everybody recognizes as that of Vinny Testaverde. He is a remarkable athlete and football player. But the team of Penn State won the game. I was interested in reading that when Penn State played Boston College, the Heisman Trophy winner was Doug Flutie. Penn State won the game. I was interested in reading that when they played the University of Southern California, that Marcus Allen was the Heisman Trophy winner. Penn State won the game. I read where they played the University of Georgia when Herschel Walker was the Heisman winner, and Penn State won the game. Now, I'm not trying to take anything at all away from these four young men, outstanding individuals, remarkable athletes. But what I am saying is that regardless of how good we are, regardless of how talented we are as individuals and professionals, when we get involved in the team spirit, we individually will be doing better because our team is doing better.
Kevin, how has a team helped you to make millions through the years?
Great question. So I'm going to go all the way back to the 80s, and I had a company called Quantum Marketing. And I called the company Quantum because I knew we were going to have fast growth, right? And so our first year, we went from 0 to 55 million in sales with a $5 million profit. And I'll never forget when my accountants and auditors walked in and they said, congratulations, we got good news and bad news. Congratulations, you did 55 million in sales with a $5 million profit. But the bad news, you're going to have to write a check to the government, state, local, federal, the whole thing, for $1.7 million.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So here I was. Now, we had about 1.8 million cash sitting in the bank. I thought we were in great shape with 1.8 million in cash sitting in the bank until that day. And so we physically wrote the checks, and it was, federal was the most, and then there was the state and local also. But at the end of the day, it wiped me out completely with all my cash. So we were really stretched to try to operate. We had inventories and payrolls and all these things that we were doing at that particular time. So I knew at that time, I was too late to do year-end planning because this was already into the next year.
Oh gosh.
So I said, I need a dream team. I need finance experts. I need people to help me because it is things that you don't even know.
Right.
Like I'm building the business, making sales, doing amazing things, making great profits, which is good if you want to show a banker that you need financing. But if you got to pay it all in taxes, what good is it if you're going to be out of business ultimately, right? So I ended up bringing on a former bank president that was very skilled. There was two things here. You need to show a profit if you're going to be a bankable business to go get lines of credit, cash, etc. But he was able to build a model on the business that showed that we were running on a month-to-month basis at a very nice profit margin and a worthy, risk, adverse kind of an investment from either an investor standpoint or the bank standpoint. But he also was able at year end to do some tax maneuvering so that maybe we're buying extra inventory or maybe we're paying for things or whatever. But bottom line is once we brought in this guy who then brought in lawyers, who brought in accountants, and who brought in this dream team of people to help me run the business. So that was the big change for me. And we were able to get financing. We were able to build the business. We were able to grow the business, which grew from 55 million to 85 million to 150 million, et cetera. So we were on our path to the next level by bringing in that dream team. It was an
Right.
amazing change for me.
Okay, and that's good to know because you can't do it alone. You do have to have the team. You mentioned finance, though. Let's talk about how important is that really? The accounting piece, bookkeeping, all that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we've talked to like tax planning. That's
Right.
one part. So, like, I was afraid to hire people that were like, you know, very qualified in the
Right.
very beginning. So, like, I didn't hire a big-time CFO
Okay.
because big-time CFOs wanted.
They're expensive.
They're like, yeah, $150,000
Yeah.
a year or something, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm a small company, a startup. I don't really have the budget for that. So, but my accountants warned me. They said, look, you are going to build a big business. So don't think of where you are today. Think of where you're going to be. And that's the accountant that you need. And I said, well, when I get there, I'll get that person. But sometimes if you don't get that person,
You'll never get there.
You're never going to
Yeah.
get there. So, so unfortunately, we ended up with a very low-priced CFO
Okay.
who was not skilled and didn't have a lot of real-world experience in our industry. So one day we find out that one of our, you know, because we're in the business of cashing credit cards, accepting returns.
True.
And when you accept a return, what do? You issue a credit. So we had somebody in accounting that started out issuing $29 credits for
Right.
friends and relatives.
Yes.
And then like, well, nobody caught that. So then they're issuing $100 credits. One day the auditors came in, what are you selling for $1,000? And I said, nothing. What do you mean? Oh, well, last month you issued 27 $1,000 credits to what seems to be a little organized group because they've been getting a lot of credits for the last 6 months.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
so this was friends and family to the tune of, I forget the number, but it was over $150,000. So of actual theft. And this was because we didn't have controls.
Right.
So now I saved a little bit of money on the job of CFO, but then I lost a bunch of money for lack of experience and lack of dream team success. So you get what you pay for. If you're going to be a good entrepreneur, a big entrepreneur, get big, good people around you. And one of the other things that I might add, maybe at this time, is you don't always need to just pay for them all in, like full time.
Okay.
Maybe that's something we can talk about coming up.
Okay, well, and I do want to talk about the value of having experts guide you as you grow because you've had many. So talk about that.
Well, so in this business, here we're selling kitchen products, we're selling fitness products, we're selling beauty products, health and beauty, we're selling ingestibles. So think about that industry. So you've got, in the world of fitness, you're making claims about get stronger, lose weight. That falls under the Federal Trade Commission guidelines of truth in advertising.
Right.
For ingestibles, we're dealing in the world of Federal Drug Administration, the FDA for ingestibles. So now we're in an industry, we're on national television running 55 million a year in sales, 85 million a year in sales, 150 million, and then doing billions of dollars. So you think you might need some good lawyers, right?
You think?
So I was involved in the setting up of one of the associations in our industry, the association. It was called the Electronic Retailing Association, ERA. And so we went to Washington, D.C., and we said, who can help us be the lawyer to set up this whole association? Because we wanted it to be a membership of people from the industry.
Okay.
Not just, I was a marketer, but we wanted banks,
Right.
the shopping channels. We wanted to be big. We wanted to have all the biggest and the best guys, lawyers, service suppliers, fulfillment centers, phone centers, all these people. So
All in one group.
All in one group.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. It was called the Electronic Retailing Association. So I was one of the co-founders of that organization with Greg Renker, a few other folks from Guthrie Renker. And so we hired the best of the best lawyer in Washington, D.C. that did trade associations.
Oh,
right?
wow, yeah.
And now they, as a law firm, happen to have former Federal Trade Commission lawyers on their staff that had left the FTC. But that was part of our due diligence. We'd like a trade association law firm that's the best at setting up trade associations. And then we need the lawyers that are going to also be best for our industry. Now, they were very smart, because when you think about it, if you're a law firm, when you set up an association, what happens is you get hundreds and then thousands of new members
Right.
who need what? Legal work, okay? So these guys were the
Point.
smartest guys in the bunch.
Right.
Because the Jeff Knowles, who was the gentleman that became the initial lawyer that we set all this up with, he said, oh, I'll give you your office in our office in Washington, D.C. to start because you're a young association. Maybe you don't have space yet or you don't, so it's like, so here we were, the ERA was located inside Jeff Knowles' law firm in Washington, D.C. called Venable, Betcher, Civiletti, and Howard. And so they were doing not only all the legal for the association, but they ended up becoming the legal for many, many of the clients like me to this day still. So, but they had Federal Trade Commission, FDA, SEC, take any of the syllables and run them together and you'll find it. They've got somebody that can handle that stuff there. So there's also the FCC, by the way, that's for Federal Communications, and that's the kind of the TV industry. So make a long story short, by getting the best of the best, and these weren't employees, so we were, utilizing advisors, lawyers, and then they obviously had the best kind of accountants and finance guys and all that. So we ended up with some pretty cool things coming out of all that.
I love that. Well, and it just goes to show that success is definitely not a solo act.
It's not a solo act. You need to have a great team surrounding you.
Now that you know the secret, success is not a solo act. It's time to take action. No matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team. Are you ready to stop thinking like a solo act and start thinking like a team leader? If you haven't already, open your guidebook and complete your exercises and record your key takeaway for this secret so you can start enjoying your sales success now.
After discovering the last secret, success is not a solo act, you might be thinking that you need a lot of money to build a team. You might even be tempted to quit the process because, let's face it, when you're just starting out, money can be hard to come by. Never despise small beginnings, by the way, because that's where everyone starts. But you don't have to do it all at once. In fact, it's never been easier to start building a team than right now, even with very little money. What it does require is a lot of creativity. Yes, that's right. We're back to having the right mindset, a creative mindset where you seek synergy and find win-win solutions. Now let's look to Zig for some wisdom on creative team building, and then I'll share an example of how I got creative early on in my own success journey.
A man came home one evening, and his little 7-year-old son was doing a little work out in the backyard. He was building him a fort. I guess all kids like to do that. And there was one heavy post the youngster was trying to move. And that youngster was struggling and straining, and he was trying so hard to lift it. His daddy watched him a couple of minutes, and he said, "Son, use all your strength." And the little boy looked up at me and said, "Daddy," said, "you've been watching me. You know I'm trying. I am using all of my strength." And the daddy said, "No, son, you're not using all your strength." "Yes, I am, Daddy. I tried hard." "Well, son, what I'm talking about is you didn't ask me to help you. You didn't use my strength." As salespeople, we need to use all the strength which is available. And that strength is the knowledge, the background, the experience, the expertise, and all of the support materials which our company can provide us and which we can learn through books, recordings, seminars, and so forth. We do not have time to have all of the experiences. We must use the successful experience of others. And the exciting thing is when you're using other people's experience, you really are only using successful experience. When you try to have it all yourself, then you've got to include in there part of the success and part of the failure. If you're going to sell right to the right people, use the strength that is available. It is amazing how much there is there.
So let me tell you a little story about how I got very creative when I needed to build a little bit of a team. And this goes all the way back to my heating and air conditioning days, which is quite a few years ago. And so I was very good at selling. In fact, we would buy the new homeowner lists from the city, people that had just bought a new home and transacted that actual purchase of the new home, had the listing of the address and a phone number. So we contacted them and offered them a free furnace cleaning. So we got into the door to do a cleaning, and then we were able to have a relationship with the customer and sell new furnaces that were more efficient and air conditioning systems. And we just supercharged the business through sales very powerfully. We built from 0 to 10 projects and 10 installations a week in a pretty short period of time. But the problem was I couldn't find all the installers who weren't already working somewhere enough to put up all of those installations on a weekly basis. So I was confronted with a major issue here. I had lots of sales, but not enough installations. So what do? Well, I went to my supplier, Carrier, and I asked them if they could help me work with the situation, because I would run ads and I couldn't find new salespeople. So Carrier, because they're selling me the product, is like really working with me to build what I call my dream team. So they said, hey, there's another company in town that's very good at tech and very good at installation, but they're really weak on sales. And so why don't we do this? If you guys could do most of the hard labor part of getting the equipment delivered and getting it all set up and getting a lot of the partial installation done, we'll bring this tech team in from this other competitor of yours to finish the final installation. So this was a 1 + 1 = 3, and amazingly for me, here is a solution to my problem, which was pretty out of the box when you think about it, working with my competition ultimately here to solve my problem of installing my furnaces. So I like to say that sometimes you have to get very, very creative, and this certainly helped me even then sell more, because now I wasn't afraid to even ramp it up from 10 a week to even more. So when you confront challenges to finding and building a team, don't get discouraged. Get creative. As Thomas Edison said, there's always a better way. You just have to find it.
Now that you have the secret, team building requires creativity. It's time to take action. When you confront challenges to finding and building a team, don't get discouraged. Get creative. If you haven't already, pull out your guidebook and complete your exercises and record your key takeaway for this secret so you can start enjoying your sales success now.
When I was growing up in a blue-collar family in Cincinnati, Ohio, it used to be that everyone pretty much tried to get a job that they would stay in for the next 20, 30, or 40 years and then retire. But a lot has changed since then. Technology has flattened the marketplace. Global competition has opened new avenues of growth. The virtual workplace has made collaboration possible that seemed unthinkable a few decades ago. And all of it has unleashed what I call the gig economy. It seems everyone has sort of a side hustle these days. Either they're striking out on their own, or they have something else going on in addition to their regular employment. Now, some experts have even suggested that up to half the workforce will be working independently in just a few years. What does that mean for you as someone to scale your success? Opportunity. What it means is you don't have to do this all at once. You can scale up a little at a time based on your need. A common mistake budding entrepreneurs make is to think that they must hire full-time employees in order to grow. But that's never been the case. Sure, there comes a time when full-time employees make sense, but it's never been easier to add the talent you need a little at a time until you're ready to commit to adding full-time employees. Essentially, you can rent what you need before you decide to own. This trial process also lets you get to know people better to ensure they're a good fit for your culture, values, and character. It minimizes the risk of knowing who you can trust when you can work alongside someone on a project or two before committing to anything long term. Bottom line is this: you can't do it all. You need experts, and experts have never been more available in the gig economy. But to get them, you're going to need to invest some resources. In many ways, at this stage of the journey, you'll need to sell yourself on the process. You need to use the quality close on yourself when it comes to building a team. Do you remember that close? You need to make the decision that you will invest what you need to invest to get the quality you must have to grow your business. You need to decide to put quality ahead of price. Cutting corners won't work. You'll end up with more headaches than you know what to do with. The old adage, you get what you pay for, is true.
Welcome back. It's time to go deeper with Kevin Harrington as we discuss the importance of harnessing the power of the gig economy. The gig economy, what are the possibilities for team growth?
Well, first of all, you know, for those that maybe don't know what
Yes, would you explain that?
Gig means, right? So, because I know what it means, you know what it means, but gig is sort of like, think of it this way, a weekend gig. If you're a musician, you get a weekend gig. If you're an Uber driver, it's a weekend gig or a daily gig. You might be gigging every day. Okay? So it isn't necessarily just part-time. Some gigs become full-time gigs, right? So, and what I love about the gig economy is that a lot of the millennials today, and they think, well, I'd love to just get making a little bit of, side hustle, a little bit of extra money, right? Now, in the old days, I remember I have an older brother that's 9 years older than me, and my mom's like, he's graduating from college, and he's going to work for a big corporation, and her father was a banker, and there was no gig about any of that.
That was just what you did,
right? Yeah, you went in 20, 30, 40 years, you worked for a company. Today, people are thinking, I want to try something. I want to do something I really love. Let me try this. Let me try that. And so there's all these, there's tremendous websites. You don't have to have a full-time graphic artist. You can go to, a place that does graphics or logo designs, 99 designs in different places, right? So there's a lot of gig everything and just start at Uber, because a lot of people are obviously familiar with that, but all the way down to, I have a phone center that I use that takes my phone calls with people in their homes. They don't come to the office. Right. They just log on and say, I'm available for the next 4 hours, and they're in the home. So the possibilities in the gig economy are tremendous. It involves, in my world, fulfillment, phones, customer service, shipping, all of the the delivery mechanisms, and just also the services of graphics and production and the many things that we use in our world. We are able to come in and just use part-time gig people. Powerful.
So what are the types of people that are needed for these dream teams you've been talking about?
So, just talking about it, we've mentioned some of the gig folks, but that's for your business. But now as you're building a dream team, you're going to want mentors, coaches, experts, gurus, maybe digital advertising gurus. Because now there's this big trend towards, as eyeballs have shifted to Facebook, people that know how to get into Facebook and pinpoint all the target marketing there. So these are some of the kinds of people you need. How about celebrities and influencers also, right? That is a big thing, because, I know women that have only maybe 10,000 followers, and they're getting paid to send notices out to their followers about products that they've sampled, they've tested, they like. It's amazing how the world works today, and all the income opportunities for folks. So social media influencers, I used Flo Rida. He has 26 million followers. I used him to become a social media influencer in one of our products, and boom, this was a company that used the power of Flow to just take a company that built the hundreds of millions of dollars a year in asset value by utilizing social media influencers. And I go back to me as an entrepreneur. I don't have all the skills to build my business. I don't have all the finance skills, the operation skills. I go out and speak publicly. I hire people to help me speak better, right? So I use mentors and coaches and experts and digital marketing gurus, all of these kinds of things. So no matter what business you're in, there's two sides of this. If you're in business, you need these kind of dream team members and these gig members to be part of what you do. And then if you're on the flip side, looking for opportunities, what's your skill set and how can you provide services? Just one last one that there's a company called Total CFO, and so they offer part-time CFOs to help you with your finance. So I mean, so I don't care what function it is in your business, finance, operations, marketing, influencers, gig and coaches and mentors and dream team members are possible that you don't have to have necessarily as a full-time situation inside your company.
Right, but you do have to have them. So what would you say to the person who is thinking, yeah, but I can't afford to hire the right people, especially in the gig economy? What would you say to that? Because there's people thinking that.
Yeah, and that is a great question. And I think this ultimately plays into the whole concept of gig because if you need, like I remember getting a phone call once. It was a woman that had a business and she needed to get her products into retail stores. And she says, Kevin, I'm having the toughest time. I'm trying to hire somebody to be my retail expert to get my products on the shelves. And so she said, I just can't afford all these people that they want $200,000 with benefits and insurance and vacation and all of this. And, so what do you recommend? And I said, well, listen, first of all, think about it this way. Retail is in a tough state right now. Right? Amazon is hurting some of these retailers. There's some big things happening. And by the way, when I say big things happening, I mean a lot of people are losing their job in the retail sector right now, right? So there's a ton of high-level executives and people that used to work for retail stores that are now unemployed. So I said, you don't need to hire one of these people full-time for $200,000, bring them on as a consultant, as a dream team member, as a gig type helper, and you might get a consulting deal, someone that was making $200,000. Well, let me give you a great example of something that I did that was amazing. I had a beauty project that I was involved with, and we needed, I'm a gadget guy. I do mixers and walks and grills and knife sets and fitness products and gazelles and juicers and all that kind of stuff. But we were getting involved with beauty, so I don't have a lot of beauty experience. And we needed to raise money. So I actually ran into, in my neighborhood that I live here in Florida, into somebody, a gentleman that had been 10 years the president of L'Oreal Beauty.
Oh, wow.
And this was $1 million a year salary position, $5 billion in sales, 5,000 employees that this person ran and had the responsibility for. L'Oreal, big company, right? And so now I got talking to this person, and their exit package had made some money and had real estate and was kind of retired and enjoying life, right? And I said, hey, I got something very exciting. Would you like to be in on this? And by the way, before we talk, he said, yeah, because I'd love to. I get $1 million a year as his first payment. I'm like, no, excuse me.
Just a minute.
I don't want to go down that path because this is a startup. There's no cash. We got to go raise the money. But do you like the product? And he happened to love the product. So make a long story short, we were able to do, and a $1 million salary is almost $100,000 a month is what this person was getting. But when I tell you that I got this person for $5,000 a month in consulting, I said, I just need a day or two of your time per month. What would that be worth? Oh, for a day or two, I do that for $5,000. Okay, great. So for $5,000 a month, I want to, bring you in to help me as almost a stand-in CEO type thing. But make a long story short, we used that resume to get financing to get the company started and took this thing off to the next level. So This is a gig Dream Team member that the cents on the dollar, you don't have, what I say is you can rent them, you don't need to own them. Okay?
I love that.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that's right. There you have it, the gig economy. Now that the secret is clear, harness the power of the gig economy. It's time to take action. You don't have to do this all at once, and you can't do it all. You need experts, and experts have never been more available in the gig economy. If you haven't already, grab your guidebook and complete your exercises and record your key takeaway for this secret so you can start enjoying your sales success now.
It's time to grow your dream team. You're excited, you're enthusiastic, you are ready. But before you start hiring folks or committing to partnerships, you need to make sure you're getting the right kind of people. For one thing, they need to align with what you actually need. Many times when I needed to grow, I encountered agencies that are really wired to help large corporations, not the entrepreneur or solo salesperson looking to make the next growth move. You don't want partners or team members who have a status quo mentality. You're in a startup more, essentially, and that's something I know a lot about. You want team members who share your startup mindset. By its very nature, it's a fluid stage that requires adaptability. You make plans, but the best laid plans need to adjust quickly when you're in this stage. That's what I refer to as the sticky startup stage. It's almost as if your business plans need to be on Post-it notes. You can move around and adjust as you go. You simply don't know what you don't know. Now, it shouldn't stay that way, but for anywhere from 6 months to a year, you're likely to be in a very flexible stage where you need people who can flex with you. So don't get locked in with people or agencies who either don't understand your need for flexibility or simply can't accommodate it. When you're just starting the growth process, you need to move intentionally, but don't overreach. Dream big, but act lean. Never think that simply throwing money at a problem will make it go away. It's not that easy. And that's good news, because if you're willing to do a little work, you can get good people who can get the job done for less than what you might have wasted by just throwing money at the problem. Plus, the effort you put in will distinguish you from the competition.
Welcome back to Vault 7, the Dream Team. If there's one question a lot of you are probably asking, it's this: how can I build a team without getting taken for a ride? So let's ask Kevin for his insights on how to do just that. Kevin, how do people build a team that they can trust?
Well, you know, it's not easy, because you need to get the right people. So a lot of times there's chemistry involved. But the first place I start with is asking for references.
Okay.
And then I do some due diligence there. But I also, this is important, I don't do all the checking myself, because I consider, first of all, I am a salesman. I've always said that, you know, that I'm
a born salesman.
A born salesman, okay? like Zig Ziglar kind of thing, right? But sometimes salesmen are easy to sell because they get wrapped up. And so if I like somebody, and they give me some references, I'm hearing positive things.
All the things you want to hear.
All the things I want to hear. So I'll have my CFO do some checking. I'll give the references out to multiple numbers of people and make sure that we're asking some of the hard questions. Because, I mean, I'll give you an example of a situation when we were putting an app, we had a mobile app we were putting on cell phones. And we were interviewing companies that said, we can get you lots of downloads. And so some companies were like, well, it can cost you $5 to $8 in advertising on Google or Facebook or whatever to get a good quality download of somebody that wants your app, right? So then we met this one company in San Francisco, and I'll never forget, they said, we can get you downloads for $1. It was like, a huge difference, right? $1 or $8.
I'll take the dollar.
Let's see, the dollar sounds a lot better, but when we checked the references, they were able to get the download for $1, but these were networks they were using outside the United States from India and Pakistan and places that were just downloading it but never using it and pretty much worthless.
Right.
So the point is you got to be careful about the surface.
Yes.
You got to dive deep and make sure that you see actual results.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, the rubber meets the road at what have I done? What's the success? Who's happy? And I want to talk to those people.
Okay.
Make sure that I'm not getting taken for a ride.
Okay. So what about general research options like Google? I mean, can you do that through Google?
I use Google quite a bit. I mean, it really it's very powerful. Because it's sometimes it's a starting point, but sometimes if you start with Google and then you can just keep diving deeper into more things. I find it to be very, very effective and very powerful. Occasionally we'll use outside research firms that will, because the one thing, like in my industry, we have products that require like clinical studies or some kind of testing, or if we're going to make a statement of wrinkle reduction of 19%, that you're not going to get from Google necessarily. You might have to go to a university to get some research done, or do some research at the university, or some kind of case studies or medical journals or whatever it might be. But it's Google is generally a very good place to start, but sometimes depending on the situation, you got to dive a lot deeper.
You have to go deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so references, results. What other ways can you find the people you need?
So, great question. And so I mentioned that I was a co-founder of the Electronic Retailing Association. Now there's, hundreds of members all over the world in 100 countries now from the ERA. And then I also was one of the co-founding board members of the Entrepreneurs Organization.
Yes.
So if you needed something entrepreneurial, if you called the Washington, D.C. office of EO, and that's a nonprofit, and ERA also has a Washington, D.C. office, that's ERA is nonprofit. If you called either one of those, like let's call the ERA home office, and what do you need? I need a lawyer, I need a fulfillment center, I need a phone center, so they are an organization. ERA is an organization of members that pay a lot of dues to belong to a very card-carrying, legitimate kind of organization of people that respect other people and have a code of ethics and all of that.
A network you can trust.
A network you can trust. So when you call ERA and said, I need a production company. Now, they're not going to maybe give you one answer. They may give you 3 answers.
Sure.
But you can get phone centers, production, banking, lawyers, fulfillment centers, everything you need, literally with one phone call, because that's their job, is to refer accounts and companies to the members that provide those services.
And then the members want to stick around because of that.
And that's why the members want to be part of that. So now, you definitely are going to get some of the good ones. So like just recently I was in Phoenix, and the International Franchise Association show was there in Phoenix. The IFA is a very, very powerful organization. So if you were thinking about franchising, you call the IFA, and they would tell you, there's lawyers that are good. They'll also tell you maybe there's a few that watch out for. And they can give you some stories there too. So I say, if you ask 5 people and then ask those 5 people for 5 references, then all of a sudden you got 25 references, and now you can start tracking all of that and networking amongst all of those kind of scenarios. So it's you just got to sometimes it's the old school, get on the phone and make some phone calls. I mean, maybe it's an email too, but very, very powerful to connect into organizations and associations.
Definitely. And at the end of the day, it's all about trust.
That's what it's all about, and these groups know who's been there for many years, and they know the ups and the downs and some of the horror stories of the people to stay away from.
Yep. Now that we've shared the secret with you, invest in people you can trust. It's time to take action. Never think that simply throwing money at a problem will make it go away. It's not that easy. And that's good news. If you haven't already, grab your guidebook and complete your exercises and record your key takeaway for this secret so you can start enjoying your sales success now.
of a wildly famous person. Got his or her name in your mind? Now, what if that person started telling the world about your idea, product, or service? Wouldn't that be great? Well, maybe it might be the best thing that ever happened to you, or your worst nightmare. As your team grows, you may want to accelerate your growth by using local endorsers and national or even international celebrities to draw attention to your idea, product, or service. Now, I have a lot of experience working with celebrities of all sorts. Now, I thought it might be helpful to have a conversation about the value of celebrity endorsements, the pitfalls to avoid, and a few of my own experiences. So let's join the conversation with Michelle Prince and me about when to use celebrities to build your business and why.
Hello again. So glad you could join us for what I think will be a fun conversation with Kevin Harrington about a topic he knows quite well, celebrity endorsements. Kevin, are you ready to tell some stories?
I've got quite a few stories when it comes to celebrities, so yeah, let's do it.
I know you do, but let me ask you this first. Why would someone want a celebrity endorsement? What's the benefit?
So, I mean, some celebrities have huge followings.
True.
And in today's world, way more than when I first started,
Yeah.
they've got social media followers.
Right.
So that actually equates to sales.
Yes.
The more followers, and the more they put it out, the more sales might occur from your effort. In fact, the home shopping networks and QVCs today, they look for celebrities that have massive followings,
Okay.
so they can tell all of their followers to tune in
Yes.
when they're going to be there. So today's world, it's very measurable and directly can correlate to the sales volumes that can occur. Secondly, it gives you credibility, right?
Okay, right.
So let's
Sure.
say you're a local business, and you're a flower shop, and you're trying to build your business. There's local celebrities that you can tie into
Yes.
that give recognition, celebrity status to your company, and that can be cool. So there's sometimes you use. Let's talk about the kinds of celebrities. There's local celebrities.
Okay.
There's national celebrities. There's international celebrities, and there's all kinds of ways to structure deals there too.
Okay.
So I always say, like, when you think local, I think of who are some of the former baseball players,
Yes.
football players in the market that now
That everyone would know.
everyone
Yeah.
would know. They're no longer playing football. Like here we live in Tampa, Florida. So like a Mike Allstott, great football player, one of my idols when it comes to football, but he's also very entrepreneurial out in the marketplace as a celebrity entrepreneur. And so I know that Mike is creative in how he structures some of his deals. Like, he certainly would love to get a $25,000 upfront fee from somebody, or $50,000, or whatever
Sure.
the number might be. But I also know that he's an entrepreneur. Maybe a little piece of equity or a little piece of sales or something, and maybe he'll do something very creatively. So celebrities don't always have to cost a bunch of money. There's some flexibility with some of them.
Okay.
And of course, when someone is not playing football or baseball anymore, or hockey or whatever it might be, they might even be more affordable because now they're on the backside of their career. So but they still have the credibility and the name factor recognition. So those are good folks to go after. We can talk about structures. Do you want to?
Well, one thing I was curious about, though, you mentioned the local. So what's the value of local versus national?
So, well, it depends on what your company is doing. If your company is primarily, if you're a flower shop in Tampa, Florida, you don't need a national celebrity that's going to cost $100,000, unless you know them and you're going to get some kind of an amazing deal.
Right.
But so I always say start with local, that something you can afford and manage and understand how that works. But then if you want to go into a national type deal, and I think. What I try to do when I structure relationships is I try to get a national celebrity for a local price.
Oh,
and
there you
that's
go.
if you can pull that off, that's kind of the art of the deal.
Yes,
right?
For sure.
Yeah. So and so when I'll give you an example. So here in Tampa, Florida, Hulk Hogan has been around for years. He was born, right here, went to Clearwater High School, and one of the guy that really created the wrestling industry. And so I remember when we were talking to Hulk about a deal, we were launching a fitness product, and so I got talking to Hulk, and he's like, "Hey, brother, I love that product." And so that's the first step, get him to like the product, right?
Okay.
And so, but he said, "But my agent, my manager, my lawyer, he's got to tell you I get a minimum of 6 figures, at least $100,000
Wow.
to do a deal." And so we didn't have that in the budget for this product. We had to manufacture, produce all these things. So make a long story short, I positioned this for Hulk as a way to prove himself as a product performer,
right.
and someone, if you can have success with this, with your name on
There's
it,
so
then
much
you can
more.
go get a lot of other doors open for you also. So I made it sort of, as Zig would say, help enough other people get what they want. Well, he wanted to be known for being able to provide success in the product marketing space. So I helped him get what he wanted by doing this project, and then he helped me get what I wanted, which was not pay as much for the project. So, and we creatively did a deal where we were giving him his fee, which wasn't $100,000, it was a lot less.
Okay.
And we were giving it to him based on the performance of a successful spot. So that was another twist that we used that there's 2 ways to structure deals. Write them a big check up front,
right?
and that's costly.
Sure.
Or let me write you a check if the product and the project rolls out, meaning now you're putting good money after good. It's already tested, it's working, here's your advance royalty. So is it a fee or is it an advance royalty? So this, some of the people may follow some of this, but the bottom line is local celebrities are good to start. National celebrities sometimes you can get for cents on the dollar. Also, if you want to, get creative, right?
So I have to ask, because you have worked with so many celebrities, and you don't necessarily have to say names, but give me some examples of a time when a celebrity did not work out so well.
Well,
because I'm sure there are some.
Yeah, I can talk about a few of those, and we'll see if we want to mention all the names here. So let me just say this: there was one of my favorite people as a celebrity that I love. Her name was Beverly Sassoon, Vidal's wife, ex-wife. So, her situation, she tried very hard, and we actually had some success with her in beauty and in nails, but when she got divorced, she was precluded from endorsing in her divorce agreement human hair products. So we actually hired her to do pet shampoos. So Vidal had sold his company to Procter & Gamble, and he was selling, Vidal was selling human hair shampoos for us, right, men and women, but she says, I want to get even with Vidal, and I'm going to sell a pet shampoo by Beverly Sassoon, right? So that was pretty interesting, but I will say that was not a major success. So, the Sassoon brand had already been very successful for humans, but it wasn't going to work in the pet world. But anyway, she's a sweet woman and became a good friend over the years. I'm going to mention one other one, and I won't mention her last name, but let's say her name was Joan. Okay, so, and you may be thinking, who that might be, but I'm not going to mention her last name. But this person we gave $50,000 to. And it was a beauty product. And so when she showed up, she cashed her check to be, the celebrity on this project. When she showed up for the shoot, she says, "Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to read the script that you sent because I'm not endorsing the product for $50,000 like I'm a user of this product. I'm not going to say that. I'm only here to host the infomercial." So that was a real twist for us, and we had a big battle with her, and there was other things that happened. I mean, this is just a crazy story. So she shows up and she says, "By the way, I had to bring a dress it's the only dress I'll wear to host this show, and I had to rent it from a dress store in Beverly Hills, and it's $4,000 for the rental.
Oh my gosh!
Because they got to clean it, and I'm going to have it for 3 or 4 days away from their place. So now, as we're shooting the show, she had a big fight with her assistant, and so her assistant, we had picked up 2 airfares to come, and her assistant goes storming off the set one day and says, "I quit, Joan. I'm never going to work with you again." And as her assistant is leaving, she says, "And by the way, Joan, you own that dress. You're ripping them off for $4,000. So that was a pretty interesting little story we had. So she ripped us off for $50,000, and then we had a $4,000 mess with the dress, which so that was all prepaid in advance. So it's an interesting situation with celebrities that sometimes you get good ones and sometimes you don't. So
sometimes a little prima donna in there.
You gotta be watching out for who you're bringing in. That's all I gotta say, right?
All right, well then let's shift gears because I know you've had more good celebrities than bad. So talk about some examples of ones that did work.
Well, I can name
many.
so many. I mean, look, I've worked with Tony Little in fitness and Jack LaLanne in juicers and George Foreman and Frankie Avalon for pain relief. So some amazing celebrities.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Beverly Sassoon when we did some great things, but from Suzanne Summers on down, you name it. But I love the story when I talk about, did you ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Oh, yes.
Leo DiCaprio.
Yes. Oh, yes.
This was a celebrity that was known because he was a thief. And Frank Abagnale was a convicted felon who had gone to jail because he had impersonated doctors and pilots and all these kind of things. But he actually, we hired him. And you think, why do you want to have Frank Abagnale endorse something, right? Well, it was identity theft.
Oh.
And so we hired him to be our spokesperson for an identity theft product. And the day that he showed up for the shoot, great, I love some of the stories here, but he's like, "Hey, do you ever see people that put mail in their mailbox and put the sign up that says, 'Hey, Mr. Postman, I've got some mail in here, you gotta come by and take it'?" He said he would go into neighborhoods and actually look for those little flags and then grab the mail, and generally these were checks going to the, maybe the electric company
all the companies
or the water company or whatever. Now,
Yeah.
he actually took a piece of mail out, opened it up, took a check, and he showed how he could wash the numbers off and who it was written to and replace it with his name for $10,000.
No.
Right. And he
my
did that
gosh.
right in front of us on the infomercial live. And so we're all checking our wallets on the way out the door that day. But this is Frank Abagnale, Catch Me If You Can. An amazing guy. We all loved it. And by the way, most pens that you write with, there's a certain kind of fluid that you can use to get it off of a check or any piece of paper pretty much instantly. Now, this is the other thing. So what we gave you when you signed up for this identity theft product, there was a pen that went so far into the paper that it couldn't be removed. So we had those pens that we gave you free of charge. So it was guaranteed, that you could not remove that ink from a check. And so we showed you the problem. We gave you a solution. You got identity theft. It's an amazing story, a really cool success. We did that in a venture with a bank. So I always say, think outside the box a little bit. Instead of a credible celebrity, we said, let's get somebody that's not a credible celebrity, but can morph into the thief that's now going to teach you how to prevent identity theft. So that was one of the amazing stories I love to tell.
That's a brilliant example of how a celebrity endorsement it works.
And so over the years, we've used hundreds of celebrities, A, B, C, D, all up and down the scale. Of course, I've worked with the Kardashians and the Hiltons, and Kris Jenner is an amazing salesperson in front of the camera, and of course did an amazing job with all the daughters and the businesses and the beauty business that they've created and all that. So it's just been a lot of fun dealing with a lot of folks. And the one thing that I'll say, just in kind of wrapping up this celebrity segment, don't think that they're all going to be so high priced that you can't afford them. In many cases, celebrities, especially if you can get them focused on a percentage of performance, that can be a very attractive deal.
Great to know, and thanks so much for sharing all those stories, because I know I wanted to know, and I know you did too. Now that you know the secret, leverage celebrities wisely. It's time to take action. Wouldn't it be great to have a celebrity telling the world about your idea, product, or service? If you haven't already, grab your guidebook and complete your exercises and record your key takeaway for this secret so you can start enjoying your sales success now.